We're going to have a lot of patience and consideration for one another, Ryan.
How do I look? Come on, Justin. I like this pink shirt better than my car.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Put your pencils down. Action. Oh. Okay. Today we are going to continue to talk about ways to remember what you read. Remember, we've talked about comprehending what you read, and there are different ways that you can remember what you read. We've talked about flagging our thinking. Why do we want to flag what we're thinking? Roger?
Because it like gives us helps and like helps our thinking.
Helps our thinking how, Roger?
Well, like if we have questions, we can read about the story again, and it can help us.
So we can refer back to it as we're reading if we have a question about what we read. Any other ways that you can remember that flagging will help our thinking? Roger, or Gage, can you think of a way? Justin?
Because we know what we're thinking of, like, so we don't like forget what we were thinking.
Right, so we don't forget what we're thinking. And do you remember we talked about when we're flagging our thinking, we're flagging what we're naturally thinking about. Do you remember that? Do you remember we talked about how we can flag questions that we might have as we're reading the story? Justin had a lot of good questions that he flagged. Connections, we can make connections to ourselves or to other stories that we've read. We could make predictions. Do you always have to make a prediction at the beginning of the story, or can you make a prediction as you're reading?
Yes.
That's right. And we can't just make random predictions, can we? We need to base it off of what we've already read. Remember we talked a little bit about figurative language, which we'll talk more about later, but this last story we read had some figurative language. And then words you don't know. What do we mean words you don't know? They could be words that you don't know how to say. They could be words that you don't know what it means. Ryan, do you have a question?
Yes, and there's also questions and also answers to each type. Like for an example, like seeing white. How did I don't know what his name though. How did he get into a crash? He might have didn't see where he was driving, and he might have hit somebody in the back rear of the car, and then just like he got knocked out and.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, okay? You're right. You had a question about the last story that we read about how the boy got in a crash, didn't you? And you made predictions about your question. So you could do more. You could flag. In the same flag, you could ask a question and answer it with a prediction, couldn't you, Ryan?
Yes.
That's exactly right. Well, today we're going to add one more thing to our list of things to flag. As you read today, you're going to read In Search of the Elusive Wild Mallard. And I'm going to give you questions that I would like you to write about after you read. Okay? So another thing that you can flag in the story, you can flag details or ideas that will help you answer the question. Right? So you can add details or ideas to help answer not just the question that you have about the story, but the question that I am going to have you write about, right? To answer the question you are assigned to write about. Okay, now let's go over these questions. And guess what? You get to pick. You get to pick which question you want to write about. What kind of a person is the main character in the story? How do you know? Find evidence or proof that supports what you know. There's 2 questions there. What kind of a person is the main character in the story? How do you know that that is that kind of a person? Okay? You need evidence or proof that supports what you know. So what could I flag?
If it's a boy or a girl.
If you find that out, yes, you could flag that. But more importantly, to answer this question, what could I flag?
Her name. The name.
Okay. I had other ideas, Cheyenne? Okay. Any other ideas? Brian?
Or maybe like or just like read and then think of a strategy that there is have you gotten your game yet, and that is a question and the answer might be no.
Okay. I'm going to have to interrupt you, Ryan. I want to make sure that you guys really understand what this question is asking. It says, what kind of a person is the main character in the story? And then it says that you have to find evidence or proof. So that's what I'm going to flag when I read this story. I'm going to flag, if I think that this character is adventurous, I'm going to flag things that happen to prove that I think this character is adventurous. If I think that this character is lazy, I'm going to find things in the story that prove that this character is lazy. Does that make sense?
What kind mom dad have?
Okay. Can you repeat that one more time, Cheyenne?
Kind of people have kind of family they dog.
Okay. You don't really want to flag about their family, okay? You want to flag because that's not telling what kind of a person it is. That's telling about them. You're right about that. But what kind of a person is this? It says, what kind of a person is the main character?
You can tell by the skin, what color their skin.
Can you?
If it had a picture, maybe.
Okay. But what kind of a person is their personality?
Their feeling.
Yes.
Mrs.
What kind of a person is
I
their
gotta
personality?
go get my meds.
Okay, go ahead, Ryan. The other one, if you don't like that question as much, it says, would you have solved the problems that the character faced the same way the character did? Or would another solution be, let me repeat that. What other solutions might there be? Would these solutions work better? Why do you think so? Okay, so what kinds of things would you flag here?
How did they solve the problem?
I would probably flag any problems
In the solve.
and how they solved them. And then I would write that down in my thinking section. And then I would write, yes, that's exactly how I would solve that problem, or no.
This one's a little bit trickier.
Okay, well, you get to pick which one that you would like to answer. And if you choose to, you can even answer both. Okay, I want you to take this back to your seat. And I want you to write about your answer as you read. I'm going to give you the story. I'm going to give you some flags. You have your questions. And you have your notebook. I want you to record the information in your My Thinking section of the notebook. Do you have any questions? While you're doing that, I'm going to call you back one at a time and have a one-on-one conference with you. What should the rest of you be doing if I am conferencing?
Doing this.
Yes, reading, answering your questions. So when I look out at the desk, I should see you reading or writing, not talking, not playing. Okay? So I'm going to give you some flags. If at any point you feel like you need more flags, then I'll have a stack right over here. Okay? Cheyenne, you may go back to your desk.
What we write on this?
Well, we can tape this into your notebook at the end, okay? You pick which one you're going to write in your notebook, the answer. Okay,
I gotta
Roger.
do it, I mean.
use my marking.
You don't have to take that.
Yeah, yes, I use purple ink.
Is there something wrong?
Yeah, that's the one I had and I wrote under it.
Roger, come here, please. Can you trade Gage? Can you trade Gage, please, Roger? Thank you. I appreciate it.
I think I do have glasses, dude.
What were the, can you reread the questions again? I can't remember what
Well, you
they were.
can read them when you go back over there, okay? And then I think you'll remember what we talked about. Okay?
Can you stay here?
Mm-hmm.
I'll put this on his head.
I want you don't need anything